everyone, it's the Pink Dream Alex Gracia, and I just wanted to let you know that for all your wrestling news, you need to tune in to Aaron and Tom at the Hot Tag Hooligans Wrestling Podcast Show.
Lord, hear me, I just need some motivation. And I got tired of all these rumors and they hate. I feel my best when I'm worry-free. Mama, don't you worry, ain't nobody hurting me. Yeah, Lord, hear me, I just need some motivation.
Welcome everybody to the Hot Tag Hooligans Wrestling Podcast Show. I'm Aaron, that's Tom. Tonight, she's a ray of sunshine. It's the one and only Miss Abby Jane. How's it going?
It's going good. I'm having a good night so far. How about you guys?
Pretty good. How is the weather where you're at, and where are you actually at tonight?
Right now I'm in Bristol because I'm at the Worldwide Dojo currently. But I live in South Jersey and the weather has been gorgeous so far. It's like kind of the most perfect June you could ask for right now.
Okay. I haven't been to Jersey before, so is that close to like the Jersey Shore area?
Yeah, I'm about 45 minutes from the shore, about 20 minutes from Philly. Kind of just like in a good area with a lot going on around me.
So growing up in that area, were you a fan of the show Jersey Shore?
No, I still haven't watched it. I hear about it. I know about it. I know that it takes place in New Jersey where I'm from, but that's about as far as my knowledge of it goes. I know Snooki was on it and she was at WrestleMania. That's all I know.
You're not missing much. I think I gave it a season or two just to kind of see what the hype was, because I was always a big Real World fan and the Challenge fan. So I was like, okay, here comes a new show, and it's not my flavor at all.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's my kind of thing. But at least it's based in Jersey. There's not a lot of media I've found that is in New Jersey, so that's cool at least.
You know, one of the crazy things about it is it's so scripted, but yet we love pro wrestling. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I can't stand those type of shows that I'm like, oh my God, this is so fake. And then we watch wrestling and we love it with all of our passion.
Yeah, I guess it's just depends on some people. What I think is funny too is that people that might love the Jersey Shore but then hate wrestling because it is fake. So I don't know. I guess it's just depending on what different people like. But I like wrestling, and whoever does like wrestling or whoever likes Jersey Shore, as long as you love it, then I think that's what's important.
Yeah, it's that way with movies as well. You know, my wife will tolerate wrestling, and she loves to go to wrestling. Like when we go, she loves to go it because it's a different atmosphere. But yet she'll be like, so fake. And I'm like, every movie you watch is fake. Like every movie you watch, and that kind of shuts her up for about a minute. So that's
it. To just like on a wrestling show, there's different levels of suspending your disbelief, and some fans like some things a lot better than others. So it's all on what you like.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it does depend, but I see definitely where she's coming from with the live stuff too, that I feel like no matter how people feel about wrestling, going to live shows is something that always I feel like almost anyone can enjoy, just because of how inclusive it is and just how wild the energy can be. That's one thing that definitely draws me to wrestling, is going to my first live event when I first became a fan. It just grabs you and takes you in.
So you remember that first show that you went to, and do you remember what the main event was that night?
The first show I went to was SmackDown's 15th anniversary in Philly. So, I mean, I remember the main event was this Miz TV segment with John Cena and Dean Ambrose. I don't remember what the match was before that, but the real main event, a dark match, I want to say was a tag match with Cena and Ambrose versus maybe Rollins and Kane. And Dean Ambrose was my favorite wrestler at the time. So I was just so excited just to see him live. And I love John Cena too. And I hated Rollins and Kane. So it was basically just everything that I guess I was 14 at the time. It was everything I needed to see out of a show. And I was all right, I need to go see more of these.
It's kind of a wild age to get into pro wrestling, because when you're 14 years of age, you've started to realize what's cool, what's not. You're starting to get your own style. You're starting to maybe plan out a little bit how your next 4 years are going to go, in high school and things of that nature. For myself, I got into it at a very young age, at 4 years of age. I ran all the way through it and still love it to this day. But the thing about pro wrestling is a lot of people don't think it's cool. And I think there's a lot of us who go about it kind of, not say that we're kind of ashamed of it, that we love it so much, but I think it's nowadays, I'm seeing like in the 90s, everywhere you would go, you see the NWO shirt, Stone Cold shirt. Yeah. I think we're starting to get back to that with the younger generation like yourself coming through. Have you ever felt like a little bit shy when it comes to pro wrestling and letting people know that you're passionate about it?
I mean, like, I guess as a kid, I've just been like shy in general. And like, you know, I'm always shy to like tell people what I like. Cause like, well, what if they don't think it's cool? But then like when I was 14, I guess I was kind of like you said, it's like time of like figuring out yourself, figuring out like who you are as a person, what you're interested in, and like finding wrestling at that time. It wasn't even like, I wasn't, you know, immediately embarrassed or anything, or like, is this cool? What are people going to think of this? I was just like, so like in the best way, overwhelmed by it all, that it was like, I found it when I was 14 and I was like, okay, I need to learn as much about this. I love this. I need to like do whatever I can with this and like learn as much about it as I can. And then it was just like it was like a little weird because I didn't know anyone else that liked wrestling in real life. Like I say in real life, I mean like between on the internet and whatnot. Like no one I knew in my personal life liked wrestling. And so it was kind of weird that I was like, I felt weird sharing it with them because I felt like no one knew about it. But definitely when I was like online in that like wrestling community, then I was just like so excited about it and just wanted to share everything I loved about it with everyone I could find. So I just loved it so much that it was kind of like, there wasn't really that awkward period necessarily of wrestling isn't cool for me. It was just, you know, I just wanted to share it with everyone.
See, I was always the nerd. I was the 14-year-old in high school that carried Mick Foley's autobiography from class to class.
Oh, yeah.
I may have forgotten the actual book I was supposed to bring, but I made sure to bring Foley's book to every class that I went to. So I just, I was a nerd from day one, and I'm fine with it.
Oh yeah, I would always wear like wrestling shirts to all my classes, and I was like, is anyone gonna like notice this? What are they gonna say something to me? No one ever did, but like yeah. I was like, what if I could talk about it with someone?
I always felt like most people just had no idea.
Yeah.
Wanting that acknowledgement, and nobody would have any idea what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like you're saying with like people getting back to wearing wrestling shirts in public, I feel like there's definitely been a lot of situations where like, I would see someone in like a Bullet Club shirt or like CM Punk shirts. I see a lot of just like shirts that look cool, I think also draw people's eye, especially if they're in Hot Topic, like a lot of them are now. You know, even if it's cool that like people can have that, like, what is it? Like they can share in the wrestling, even if they're not necessarily like big fans of it or they don't really know what it is. It's just cool that like you can see a cool shirt and be like, I like that shirt, even if you don't know what it is necessarily.
Yeah, I've been on record before on the show. You know, at a young age, I was basically putting on wrestling shows at our city swimming pool. We would have a list and we'd write down and we'd draw names out of the hat who was Ric Flair. We'd put on the greatest matches in the world in a swimming pool in front of the whole town. And then as I got up older, we started a backyard little ordeal. And we did that through high school instead of like going to the parties. You know, and it was just me and my buds. And, you know, and those are memories you can't get back. You know, it's one of those things. And we've got that bond through pro wrestling. And that's the great thing about pro wrestling. I think it does bring people together who may not ever be together in any other capacity in life.
Definitely. I mean, since I've started training like 2 years ago, that's definitely given me such like a wide like spread. I found like so many different types of people, and like even if I have nothing in common with this one person except wrestling, that's like enough to build like at least some sort of like a friendship off of, which is just really cool. That's like I go to a show even if I only are like acquaintances with most of them, or maybe I only know like one person. It's like I still feel comfortable like just hanging out at the show just because at least we have wrestling in common, and that's just like the coolest thing to me. Just like getting able to have that.
Now you have several siblings, am I correct?
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 8 children.
8. So how many of y'all were wrestling, and was there any kind of bickering back and forth about wrestling in the household?
Oh man, I mean, we're all like such huge wrestling fans. We all kind of became fans around like the same time. Like we all kind of discovered it. It's just that I'm the oldest, so like I was 14, but everyone else was more in like the normal age of like when most people find wrestling. Um, and like we would watch all the pay-per-views together, every Raw, SmackDown, like whatever. It was always like a big party for us if we were all home, like just watching everything together. We have like all these wrestling figures that we would just have like, you know, make our own shows and matches with. We would all wrestle on our trampoline together. Just it was basically just like we had this whole little like wrestling community, even if it was like just my family. It was like it brought all of us closer together. It kind of gave us like not an excuse, but it was like even if we were all busy, didn't really get to see each other much, at least it was like we got to hang out, you know, on pay-per-view Sundays. So it's kind of just like a little family gathering opportunity for us. And we all just, yeah, we all love it so much. And I think they all think it's cool that I'm doing it now. They all watch my matches. My 7-year-old brother gets scared of seeing me beat up, but like, you know, I hope that I hope they think I'm cool.
And you got into pro wrestling though right at that time when women's pro wrestling was starting to make that climb back again. So whenever you started seeing the talents such as a Sasha Banks and a Bailey and a Becky Lynch, you were kind of seeing a little bit of that polished product, and you didn't get to see them kind of come through the whole system. So when you've decided to start your own pro wrestling career, what is one of the challenges that you have found in yourself that you weren't quite ready for yet?
Ooh, I mean, I feel like, you know, obviously everyone says that like the in-ring, like you can't prepare for being in-ring shape. And I've been like I've done a lot of like athletics throughout my whole life. I've been pretty active in sports and everything. So it wasn't like I was completely unprepared for the athletic part of it, but it still just like takes you completely off guard with like, you know, how sore I felt after I just did bumps for a whole day. Just like the cardio that goes into it. And then I've done theater and stuff as well. And so like memorizing stuff wasn't necessarily a trouble for me, but even just like running through like sequences in class is like, it took a long time for me to feel like I had a grasp of like things were coming more naturally for me to pick up. Yeah, there's just like, it's like so many different, like I can have troubles with a lot of like the little things. Of course, like, you know, maybe we get caught up on cardio or character or whatever, but it's like putting everything together feels like a struggle of just like, yeah, I can like hone in on these whatever kind of thing, but putting it all together, it just like takes you off guard of like how much really goes into it. And it's kind of overwhelming. And obviously like confidence takes a hit when it's like not as easy as you expect putting everything together. But I just try to like keep my head up and just keep going little by little to put all the pieces together and just hoping that I can figure it out.
You're able to grind your way right now, though, and you've been surrounding yourself through your early training and your early career so far with some pretty talented people. Travis Huckabee, Orange Cassidy's had a little bit to do with you as well. And so when you take all those talents that are working with you, what is the one thing that when all this training's over with and the progression of the final Abby Jane character is, you're going to take away?
What do you mean? Like,
well, here's the thing. Like when people are starting out, there's a lot of promotions, and I hate to say this, there's a lot of training camps that are cash grabs. You sign up, we're going to work you till you get out. But it seems like that you have surrounded yourself with the right type of people who are taking their time. Like I said, you're 2 years in, but yet, COVID happened and things of that nature. But you're getting that training. You're getting that time in the ring. You're learning, you're developing as you kind of go. And to have those type of people teaching you, what does that basically mean to you?
Oh, I mean, like, that is one reason that I wanted to start at Chikara in the first place, was just that, like, I saw like how talented all of like the trainers were. I saw who had come out of the Chikara system and like how talented they all were. And like I had looked at like some other schools in my area, even like other schools that I would have to like travel to and like live far away to go to. But it was like something kept bringing me back to Chikara, especially since I do love like how fun it was, how big all the characters were. And so like getting to go there, even if, you know, I've only had like about a year of training at Chikara, like getting to like meet those people and meet the trainers and like how diverse all the training was. Like Travis is more technical. Orange obviously does a lot of more like the psychology and like the character work. Like it's such like a well-rounded like trainer base that I felt like I had people I could go to for like no matter what I need and like different levels of experience. And now being at the Worldwide Dojo, CB is great, Sumi is great. It's just like this is such a good area for training, I think. And I definitely don't take it for granted that I've like been able to meet and like make connections and train as much as I have with like all these people. And I'm thankful for it. Like every day that I'm at training, that I just had such an amazing experience. Like even with how Chikara went down, that like I don't regret training there and starting there just because of how great my experience was with everyone that I met there.
It's kind of like selecting a job. You know, when we go apply for jobs in the shoot world, we hope we're finding the place where we're going to be comfortable, where we're going to be respected, where we're going to be able to further our careers. And unfortunately, you know, a lot of states don't have a lot of wrestling dojos, but up in the Northeast, there are quite a few that you could choose from. And so, was that a real hard process, though, narrowing down that search of where you actually wanted to go? Was it just where you were more, you know, familiar with the area, or?
Yeah, I mean, like I kind of just started out my search by just seeing like, you know, Google searching best wrestling schools and just seeing like looking at the pros and cons, like this one's expensive, this one's far away, this one, like maybe I don't know the trainers that well, like from what they've done in wrestling. Like there were lots of pros and cons to all of them. And obviously Chikara had its pros and cons as well. But it was like pretty close to where I lived. And they had those free workshops where you could go try out one day of training for free and just see how you liked it. And I had a kind of like unique situation where it was like you needed to be 18 to sign up for that wrestling workshop. And my 18th birthday was in the beginning of August. And I went away to college in North Dakota in like 2 weeks after that. And they only held these workshops every like few months. So I was like, if I can't get in for free and like try out one day of training, am I going to know like if I want to wrestle, like what's going to happen? What if they don't have a workshop I can't get to? And then I just go away to college and I never find out what could have been. And then they had a workshop 5 days after my 18th birthday. So I was able to get in and try that out before school. And walking into the Wrestle Factory for the first time, like it just felt like home, just like from the first moment that I got in there. I liked the trainers that were there. I liked the other people that were in the class with me, and I just felt comfortable. And, you know, there were other girls there too, like Solo Darling was there teaching. So it just felt like it was going to be like a good environment for me, like coming up as a women's wrestler. But just in general, it just seemed very supportive. So I did go away to college in North Dakota for a year, but like the entire time I was just thinking about wrestling. So then I came back, and like basically like the week I came back from school in the summer, I just signed up at Chikara and I never looked back.
I gotta know how a Jersey girl winds up in North Dakota for college. So please tell us that one, because that's crazy.
It kind of just worked out that I was just looking for like some schools because I was kind of thinking I wanted to like get away from home and like kind of live on my own. And it was just like this private owned school that was pretty affordable. They gave me a really good scholarship, and my mom is from North Dakota, so I did have like family kind of close by.
I don't know nobody that just chooses North Dakota for college, but okay.
Yeah, it's kind of in, you know, kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it was like a really beautiful kind of just, it was definitely a way different experience, you know, being out like basically like on this hill in North Dakota. But I did have like family nearby. And so it kind of gave me a good opportunity to like grow up and really think about like what I wanted to do with my life, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do in school. I was kind of just like doing like my general studies, getting them out of the way. But since I couldn't stop thinking about wrestling, I figured that at least I should try out for the summer when I came home. And then I just never went back, and I just stayed. And I'm still doing wrestling today, obviously.
Now, as you are furthering your training, and, obviously it's an evolving business that you're constantly learning new things, are you someone that watches a lot of wrestling matches? And is there certain people that you will kind of look to for inspiration, or maybe people from the past that you're inspired by that you like to take from?
Ooh, I mean, I just like to watch like anything that I can. Like back when the network was still a thing, it was great because I could just go watch, like, I feel like watching, I don't know, Chris Jericho today. And so I would just go through like every single like early 2000s pay-per-view looking for like Chris Jericho matches. And just when I was there, I would just watch the whole show. So I got to like get a good grasp of like what Attitude Era pay-per-views were like. I'd be like, I feel like watching Bret Hart matches. So I would watch late 80s tag stuff, early 90s, like singles Bret Hart. And like Peacock is a little harder to navigate, but I'm figuring it out. But yeah, I just kind of just like to watch everything, and just like if I'm in the mood to watch something, I'll see what I can take from them. I'll just like watch it for fun. I'll watch whatever is live and see if there's something fun that they're doing. I feel like I don't know like who, like if I can pinpoint a specific like person or whoever that I like try to wrestle as, because I feel like I just kind of like take whatever from whatever I like. So there's like a little bit of like 80s influence, I guess, a little bit of like, lucha, obviously from my time at Chikara, some technical things because I went training with CB, like he's been teaching me all these like holds and sequences and stuff that I really like, so I just use them. So it's kind of just I'm kind of like a mishmash, I feel. And I'm not like, I just like looking for anything that I can use, just because I just love learning about everything, and I just want to use everything.
Yeah, I'm kind of like you. Peacock drives me insane. It's just not navigatable for me.
It's so hard.
It is.
I found out just the other day they took off. They don't have like territory wrestling on there, because I was in the mood to watch some like NWA, and they just don't have it, and I was so mad.
Yeah, it's probably not politically correct. I mean that's the crazy thing about it, because I grew up in the '80s, and those crowds in the '80s on those wrestling shows, especially NWA, everyone believed.
I know, it's insane.
So legit, and it's amazing to watch those matches.
Oh gosh, I love watching like rock and roll express matches, because like the girls, I feel like I've never seen so many girls in a wrestling show with how many there are screaming their heads off for them. It's like, it's insane. I love seeing like passionate crowds in wrestling. Like that's one reason I love watching NWA so much. It's just how much like the fans believe, and how into it they are. Like it's just like it draws me in. Like even if the wrestling, like people might say it's like outdated now or whatever, but like with the simplest things, they like made the crowd go crazy, and I just think that's like so awesome.
So when you see stuff like that, is there anything that you would change about today's product that you're seeing in the past that you would kind of hope and wish that would kind of come back into the forefront?
I don't know, because like I just feel like wrestling is like constantly evolving, and like it seems like we always go back and like take things from the past. And even just in terms of like moves or like little like sequences or whatever, we can always go back and like, oh, I feel like I've never seen anyone do this, but I saw it on this show in 1976. And so like you can take things, whatever you like from old products. So I don't even know anything like specifically that I'd like us to see go back to, because, wrestling seems a lot safer now. It's more like diverse and inclusive. So it's like constantly evolving in good ways. But we can always go back and like see what we loved from the past and bring it back to. So I just think whatever you love from any wrestling, like it can stay in it as long as, you know, all of us wrestlers want it to.
I think for me, the one thing that I would kind of change is a little bit of the finishing maneuvers. You know, back then, you're right. You'd lose to a body slam if Davey Boy Smith power slams you just right.
Oh yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. Like, there's so many wrestlers now. I couldn't even tell you what their finishing maneuver is, because one week it's a super kick, next week it's a Canadian destroyer, the next week it's, you know. So I kind of wish that some of the more devastating moves, like a Canadian destroyer, and it was brought up today on Busted Open as well, people would not just kick out of them every single time. Like, make certain moves special, I guess. And I think we can buy into it a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's definitely one thing I love, that, like, you know, I would like to see, I love being able to, like, pinpoint finishing moves of wrestlers, and that's definitely something I feel like sometimes I can't tell anymore. Like, I'll watch, like, AEW, and maybe I don't know everyone's finishing move, but, like, you know, I still think it's cool to see, like, how wrestling, like, what they do to finish a match. Then, like, is it, I like when they use like small packages and stuff to end a match. Like, I still think, like, that can, like, be really cool if done right, but, like, no one ends it with a small package. But, like, it's legit. Like, you can't kick out if it's done right.
Unless it's the 24/7 title, and that's how every pinfall is the school. I'm like, come on, like, seriously, like, let's be creative in some form.
Yeah, I don't know. But I, like, definitely, if you have, like, a cool like finishing move that is devastating, like, I definitely want to make sure, like, some of the moves I have or I've tried in practice that I think are really cool, I'm like, I'm not gonna do this until, like, you know, if I think I can win with it.
Now, one I feel evolving in a good direction is you're seeing more and more intergender matches. And for me personally, I get so pumped up and into an intergender match because of the stories that can be told. And I know you've had intergender matches, and I know, you know, from what we have talked to a lot of up and coming independent female wrestlers, a lot of times the men are the only ones that can wrestle. But what do you feel about that, and how do you feel like that you think that it should be incorporated in shows these days?
I mean, like, I know I've wrestled, like, a lot of men, and so I do consider myself an intergender wrestler, but I also consider myself just a wrestler because, like, I love wrestling other women and just seeing, like, their perspectives, and, like, especially, you know, just because, you know, we're all women, like, we kind of just, like, band together at every show. But, like, I don't consider myself I don't want to just wrestle women. I don't just want to wrestle men. I just want to be seen as, like, a wrestler. And it's like, if I'm on a show, like, you don't think of it as this is the women's match or this is the intergender match. It's just like, this is a match between Abby Jane and whoever her opponent is. And, like, maybe I hope you'll like the way that we interact as characters, as, like, a clash of styles, whatever the situation may be. That's just my goal, that, like, people don't think of it as, like, this is the intergender or the women's match. Just women just get to be seen as, like, you don't blink an eye when you see women in any match on any show. But, like, I just am grateful for, like, the opportunities that I've had to wrestle, like, you know, any men or women, especially ones that have, like, a lot of experience, more experience than me. Like, if I was only wrestling women, then maybe I wouldn't have had the chance to wrestle with a lot of the guys that have taught me so much in my, like, how my few short matches that I've had. But if I was only doing intergender, then, like, I wouldn't have had the experience of learning from other women that have been in the business, because that's, like, a whole other experience in itself. So, like, no matter what, I'm just glad to wrestle, and I just see myself as, I'm glad no matter who my opponent is.
Well, Abby, before we let you go, tell everyone where they can see you next and where they can find you on social media or as far as your merchandise goes.
Ooh, so I think the next time, I think this is airing live, I'm going to go to Alabama. I'm going to be at New South Pro Wrestling. I'm going to be on Action Clash, which we're doing on, I think it's June 19th. I'm not sure if that's airing live, but then I will also be at their other show on July 20th or June 20th, sorry. So I'll be in Alabama next week. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at OMG Abby Jane. And then my links to my merch are in my bio in both of those. It's whatamaneuver.net/collections/Abby-Jane.
Awesome. So who are you going to be wrestling down in Alabama this first time? Do you know?
I know I'm going to be wrestling Vita Von Star at Action Clash that first night, and I haven't heard about my match for the second one yet. But, once I get through Vita and figure out, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to beat her, hopefully, then, I can figure out what I'm going to do at night 2.
Awesome. Abby, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to say it on air. You may be the nicest, seeming like the nicest person we've probably ever had on this show.
Thank you.
It's probably all a rouge, people. She's probably hateful and mean. And she just said whatever it takes to beat Vita. I heard her say it. So
that's just determination.
There you go.
Vita's pretty mean. Like, I know she's not gonna take it easy on me. So I definitely got to meet her aggression.
There you go. For everyone out there, make sure you are staying safe. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Make sure you all go over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Like we said earlier in the week, whenever we had Myron Reed on, our subscriptions are going up, our views are going up, our audio listens are going up, and we can't do it without all the support from everyone out there who's helping us push through, especially during all the hard times that everyone's going through. Hopefully bring you all a little bit of sunshine here on some cloudy days, especially around here. It's really cloudy down here in Kentucky. I appreciate it. Also, as you guys and girls are traveling to and from, again, pick up a copy of my book, Independent Road: A Wrestler's Journey. We're starting to climb back up those charts at Barnes & Nobles. We're not going to stop until we get back up there in that top 10. So appreciate everybody. And we'll see y'all later in the week.